There is something beneath the ocean, something built. Those are the exact and literally the only words jotted down in a military logbook by a pilot back in 1942. I mean, it's a completely chilling thought, isn't it? Just this one single sentence scribbled right there in the margins of a totally routine mission, hinting at this massive, impossible secret just lurking right beneath the waves.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at uncharted shadows, Earth's hidden anomalies. We're going to be turning our attention completely away from the stars and looking deep, deep down to realize that our maps, they might be far from complete. Okay, let's dive into this. We're starting our timeline right at the height of World War II, so 1942. That military pilot I just mentioned? Well, he was flying a completely routine mission over the Atlantic Ocean. The sky was clear, the sea was totally calm. But as he looked down, something highly, highly unusual caught his eye. And no, it wasn't just the reflection of sunlight, and it wasn't fire. It was this weird glow coming from beneath the ocean's surface. And as he descended to get a better look, he claimed to see these massive, aligned shapes. We are talking straight, geometric patterns under the water, structures that looked uncannily like streets, towers, and platforms. Almost like a city made of light, reflecting like glass. Now, for decades, that report simply faded into obscurity. It became just another wartime ghost story. But here is exactly why we're looking at this today. Years later, advanced sonar technology swept those very same areas of the Atlantic Ocean floor, and the data that came back? Absolutely shocking. The sonar actually confirmed unusual formations down there in the dark, patterns that simply do not match natural geology. We're talking about right angles, structural alignments, things that nature rarely, if ever, creates on its own.
So this brings us to a massive question. Are these sonar readings just some bizarre geological coincidence? Or are we actually looking at the remnants of a forgotten civilization? Really think about what that would mean for a second. If an advanced civilization existed way before our recorded history, well, it would completely rewrite everything we think we know about human progress. But it proves one thing for sure. The ocean is incredibly vast, and it is absolutely excellent at keeping its secrets.
Moving chronologically over to the Pacific, we hit the wild phenomenon of disappearing islands back in 1912. So, a merchant ship was sailing across the open water when the crew spotted an island. And this wasn't some vague blur on the horizon, okay? They recorded seeing green hills, trees, a landmass that was clearly and undeniably visible. But as the ship adjusted its course and got closer, the island just began to slowly fade.
Just imagine the sheer suspense of that moment standing on the deck of that ship. Within minutes, these solid green hills and trees vanished completely into the Pacific Ocean. It didn't sink, it just ceased to exist. When the ship reached the exact coordinates they had logged, there was absolutely no trace left behind. Nothing but open, rolling water.
Now, what's really interesting here is that historical maps are actually completely full of these wandering islands. To look at this from a neutral scientific perspective, experts theorize these sightings are just complex optical illusions, like Fata Morgana, or maybe extreme atmospheric distortion, or even submerged volcanic structures that temporarily release gas before sinking right back down. But for the sailors who swore up and down that they saw green trees fading into the mist, those scientific explanations often feel just as mysterious as the vanishing islands themselves.
Let's fast forward to 1986, and we're traveling over to the waters near Japan. Here, the mystery isn't something fading away, it's something definitively, physically there. A diver exploring the ocean floor made a genuinely startling discovery, a massive, submerged stone empire. We are talking about distinct steps, wide flat platforms, and towering walls, and all of it arranged in this incredibly precise geometric order. Honestly, from a distance, it looks exactly like a sunken city.
This discovery brilliantly highlights one of the absolute fiercest ongoing debates in marine archaeology right now. On one side, you've got the theory of natural geological erosion. Proponents of this argue that intense underwater currents shaped these structures over thousands of years, basically exploiting natural fractures in the rock. But then, on the other side, you have the ancient submerged construction theory. Those folks point out that the patterns are simply way too precise. The angles are way too sharp for it to just be a coincidence. They imagine a time when sea levels were significantly lower, which would have allowed coastal populations to build these massive monuments right before the rising waters swallowed them up. But regardless of which side is actually right, the visual evidence is absolutely staggering.
Shifting our focus away from the ocean depths, let's head to the frozen extremes of our planet, Antarctica. We tend to think of it as just a dead, frozen desert, right? But check out this timeline. Millions of years ago, Antarctica was this lush, green ecosystem, completely covered in forests and rivers. As the climate shifted thousands of years ago, it got buried under kilometers of solid ice. But the modern era brought us some shiny new tools. In the 1950s, classified radar scans detected these bizarre geometric anomalies beneath all that ice. And then, jumping to 1978, scientists recorded some incredibly unusual thermal readings.
So those 1978 discoveries revealed what we call geothermal anomalies. Basically, instruments recorded intense heat signatures in places where there should literally only be absolute freezing zero. Researchers even reported hearing these faint, totally inexplicable vibrations just humming beneath the solid ice sheet. It strongly suggests that vast subglacial lakes and rivers are still flowing down there. It paints this wild picture of an entirely different, warm world, maybe even an ancient ecosystem, surviving right now, as we speak, in the pitch dark beneath the ice.
But hey, remember those 1950s radar scans we just talked about? They revealed something that looked a lot like a perfectly geometric structure. Flat surfaces, circular patterns, something that honestly resembled an entrance. So we really have to ask, are we simply looking at a bizarre subglacial geological formation? Or is there a sealed chamber locked beneath the ice, hidden away for thousands of years, a place preserved entirely in darkness where time itself has just stopped? And the fact that some of these early radar reports were completely classified, that only adds to the immense suspense of the whole thing. All right, let's ascend from the ice and get back onto solid ground. The year is 1963, and an expedition team is trekking into the incredibly remote, silent forests of Alaska. At first, everything was perfectly normal. Snow-covered mountains, the usual biting cold wind. But as they pushed deeper and deeper into the valley, the whole environment began to change. The wind just stopped. The birds completely disappeared. They basically descended into this absolute, suffocating, dead silence.
And then, this baffling sequence of equipment failures began. First, their compasses started spinning randomly, completely unable to find true north. Second, their mechanical watches just began to completely malfunction. Third, all their radio signals broke down, isolating them entirely from the outside world. As they navigated this weird, silent malfunctioning zone, they actually found strange symbols carved right into the rocks, symbols that matched no known human language. When the explorers finally made it out of there, the psychological toll was super evident. One member eerily noted that time felt different there. Now, science points to magnetic anomalies and deep mineral interference, but come on, that hardly captures the sheer dread of experiencing something like that firsthand.
But anomalies aren't just found in untouched nature. They inhabit our oldest structures, too. Let's jump back to 1889. A curious traveler journeyed out to an ancient, fog-shrouded castle in the mountains of Scotland. The local villagers were super adamant, offering a very strict warning: never stay inside after midnight. But naturally, curiosity won out, and the traveler decided to ignore the warnings, literally locking himself inside the empty stone corridors for the night.
As the clock ticked toward the witching hour, the castle was dead silent. But at exactly 12 a.m., the sound of heavy, ringing bells echoed repeatedly through those empty stone corridors. The impossible part about this castle had no bell tower. There was no mechanism, no ropes, and literally no bells anywhere on the property. Yet the distinct, booming sound of ringing metal crashed through the halls, which is a phenomenon the locals claimed had happened every single night for centuries. So the crucial point here is really how we interpret this. Modern science has investigated it and suggests architectural wind vibration. Basically, the theory is that the specific layout of the stone corridors acts as this giant acoustic amplifier for nighttime mountain winds, creating a bell-like echo. But stacked up against that scientific rationalization is the sheer chilling precision of the timing. Like, why exactly at midnight? For those who have actually heard it, it doesn't sound anything like wind. It sounds like a memory, stubbornly trapped right there inside the stone. For our final descent today, we don't even need to look at remote oceans or frozen continents or ancient castles. We just need to look right under our own feet. Back in the early 20th century, as major American cities were experiencing this massive, rapid urban growth, construction workers began doing deep excavations to lay the foundations for the modern skyline. And what they hit down there? It completely revealed Earth's hidden deep networks.
Right beneath the bustling American streets, they discovered hidden worlds. We're talking structures far older than the actual cities above them. Historians still debate the origins of this to this day.
Were these just early, forgotten settlements that were simply paved over in the rush of urban expansion? Or, as some of the evidence suggests, were they deliberate, hidden underground networks built for survival during ancient floods or some kind of unrecorded conflicts?
Just look at the sheer volume of these deep excavation discoveries. Workers were breaking right through bedrock only to find perfectly intact brick walls beneath modern foundations. They uncovered old rooms connected by stone pathways. They found hidden, expansive corridors just winding blindly into the dark. And along with all these physical discoveries came the completely bizarre reports. Workers claiming to see unexplained lights dancing on the tunnel walls and hearing the distinct sounds of movement echoing through spaces that were supposed to have been sealed off for centuries. It creates this incredibly claustrophobic, high-tension reality literally right below our daily commute.
All of this leaves us with a pretty profound realization. We go to work, we walk our dogs, we live our entire daily routines on just a thin crust of pavement. Beneath modern life, it is a proven fact that older life lies buried. But looking at all the anomalies we've explored today, from the ocean floor to the deep ice to the silent forests and the tunnels under our cities, we really have to ask, what truly exists even deeper than that? Think about that the next time you feel the ground hum beneath your feet. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the world around you.